With the summer solstice in less than a month, the sun is going down pretty late now. And so it's nice to be able to transition right from sun gazing at sunset, beautiful spot, because obviously the sun changes, right? And it changes the trajectory throughout the year. But man, when it gets to the summer, wow, where I'm living, right where the mountains kind of have this little opening with them, that's where the sun sets, and it's gorgeous. So I'm really blessed to be able to be living and embodying the light, really, the spirit of truth, because that is the light, is the spirit of truth. And it's gotten me thinking and pondering a bit about being on a mission, and specifically for the men with full sacks, being a man on a mission and what that really means, because the mission that you have is not something to be found. It's something to be embodied. It's something that you tune into as a frequency. And a lot of people who are not attuned to this type of language will misconstrue and confine themselves by trying to define themselves, in the same way that they try to confine the soul of existence, God, by trying to define God. And the more you try to define things, the more you try to speak about certain things, you get to a point to where you realize that trying to speak about certain things all the time is going to be kind of a hopeless endeavor. In fact, it's going to be a hopeful endeavor, not a hopeless. You're going to be so full of hope that you're not going to have anything left to actually experience. Because hope is just, I think hope is kind of like nostalgia. It's kind of a drug. It's not really something that is going to help propel you to the depths of your own soul, or to the heights of heavenliness. And we have to remember that a lot of people, when they're on their mission, especially dudes who are retaining their seed and they're really striving to be more disciplined in their life, they have this proclivity in such a way that they think about the domain of reality as if it is the real thing. Because most people are actually already there. The man with the full sack, or developing his full sack, let's say, he is aiming to embody this mission frequency, right? He's aiming to just be doing what he's being, and being what he's being, not rather doing. In fact, you have to let go of doing and concentrate more and focus more on being, until you're no longer focusing on being. That's still doing something. You're just being at that point. And being is the mission. Being, like Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to be who you really are. Something along those lines, right? And that is absolutely the case. It is absolutely true, because it's a part and a role that you play in this beautiful dance of existence. And the more that you can just appreciate anything and everything, all of the trials and tribulations and whatnot, like, if you just trust the process, you trust the soul of existence. Like, I'm getting the sense that a lot of people right now are moving into a mode of trusting. Like, I get the sense right now that, in my mind's eye, let's say, I just saw a bunch of men holding hands around a lake, and they jumped in all at once. So to me, that's symbolizing that we men are really holding the line right now. This divinity of of men who are reclaiming their authority, reclaiming their sovereignty, and being a signal of sovereignty and being a signal for truth. It's like these men are all embodying this man on a mission frequency. And the thing is that it's a channel. It's a channel that you tune into, but how you view the channel depends entirely upon your own life. And it seems to me that most men who are, in fact, it doesn't seem, I know that most men who are hearing this message are simply aiming to better themselves, to be on the godlike mastery path. Because the godlike mastery path is not about being a master. It's about being the mastery education unto oneself and the people around you. This is why I have the godlike mastery offer that I do. Because the godlike mastery offer that I have is meant for those with the financial stability to invest in themselves, and also the time to do so as well, because it is a 3-month commitment. And many people who are maybe just looking for kind of this casual thing, that's not it. This godlike mastery offer that I have is not that thing. Now, if you're looking for something more where you can kind of do it on your own time, that's what the Regal Academy is for. And there's a bunch of classes and such available for that. Or you could read my book, the Book of Oldishness. But again, if you read that book, I've had people tell me that they can only read like 1 page at a time because it's so deep. And to me, when I wrote the book, because it took me 5 years to write it and I published it last year, when I wrote the book, throughout those 5 years, like, I was on a mission, and I still am on a mission, but I'm not attached to the mission anymore. When I was writing the book for a lot of those years, I was attached to the mission of writing the book. And it kind of created unnecessary hindrances and helped me. It helped me overall, but it really deviated me from my own path to some degree by being attached to the outcome. And so something I've had to practice and I've learned how to cultivate is working and trusting that the soul of existence will invest in me insofar as I invest in the soul of existence. Because I am who I am what I am because of the soul of existence wanting to express itself through me in a particular way. So I am concentrating on that aspect of my life. I'm concentrating on simply being the frequency of sovereignty and being the signal. And I'm not negotiating with energy harvesters. I'm not negotiating with energy terrorists. I'm not negotiating with these people who believe that they are entitled to my time. And I am a very generous person. In fact, in the times past, I was so generous that it made a problem for me. So I've had to learn how to, over the last decade, kindle my agreeableness and my generosity to a degree in which I can now discern who is capable of that generosity and capable of receiving the generosity and those who are not. It's not to say I'm perfect, but it's to say that this is it, right? So, and I'm sure many people who are on this path have received this type of response or reaction rather from individuals where you want to just give because you just want to give. And then subconsciously though, you're expecting them to like treat you a certain way. You're expecting them to, be grateful. The thing is that giving only works if the giver is getting something in return. And that means that, in the Bible, this is why charity is so important. And this is why charity is considered the thing that alleviates all sin per se. Because what true charity is, let's say, And I'm not like a Bible thumper, and I'm not necessarily, religious in any way, shape, or form, but I find, it's not even I find, I see value in the teachings, of course, but I also see value in the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita or the Quran. I see value in a variety of different things, and I see how they're all trying to really point at the same thing. Magic is something that I've been introduced to by someone in the Regal Academy recently, more so because of their own interest in that, and that's allowed me to see magic in a different way. And so I can see astrology in these ways, I can see all these things in all these ways, but ultimately, like, astrology, tarot, all these things are fun to play with. They're tools. That's the way that I see it. They're fun. It's fun. But what magic is talking about, I think, is getting at something deeper than most people realize, but that's another story for another time. And in charity, so going back to charity, true charity operates in timelessness. And for the Regal Change old-timers familiar with my Regal timeline theory, you're going to understand this completely, because when you give from a place of simply giving because you want to give, and you're not expecting anything in return, well, that is timelessness. That's agape love. But if you're giving for the sake of trying to get something, then you're actually just deluding yourself, and you're hindering yourself from your own motivations. Because if you're motivated by rewards and gold, the proclivity that you're going to have to sabotage yourself is probably going to be extremely high. And you want to be very mindful of how you are speaking about certain things and uttering things into existence for you. Because if you're not careful, you're going to accidentally prohibit you from growing. Because obviously in this life, there's no life without death, and there's no death without life. Something has to die for there to be life. And in order for there to be death, something has to be alive first. So everything is a duality or / push and pull. It's the yin and yang of the universe, let's say, of the soul of existence. But that doesn't mean that, like, it has to be a certain way. If you orient yourself inwardly from a place of timelessness with a full sack, oh my gosh, you're going to be so powerful that you... Like, I saw somebody comment on one of my videos recently. They said, like, as a full sackian, like, even I'm surprised and intimidated by my own self sometimes, or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that was more of the gist. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that was the gist. And that was such a profound moment. And somebody else, actually, I wanted to mention this sooner, but I got in the flow state. So just going as it is, someone mentioned in the previous video that I did about the full sack alignment. Dude, that is such a dope way to say, like, full sack, like, because what that is it's abundance. What the full sack alignment is that you are completely one with existence. And I don't know if that person knew exactly what they were saying. I'm assuming they did, just because. In fact, no, they knew what they were saying. They knew what they were saying. And so they tuned into that channel of the full sack alignment and the full sack frequency. That's super cool to me. That's super cool that we are curating our own universe, or at least our own part in the universe, in the spirit of the time. To me, that is the chef's kiss to what this whole life is about. Let's just create. Let's create for the sake of creation, and just trust that the soul of existence will take care of us. And we will be okay, because we are okay. We are the commandments. We are love. We are joy. Because if you say, oh, I want to be happy, okay, well, first get rid of I. Okay, then get rid of wanting, because that's desire. But, be mindful of it when you do say it. And then what are you left with? well, you're just left with happy. You're left with being happy. So that's really what the full sack man on a mission frequency really is. So be a man on a mission, but don't try to seek the mission. The mission will be you. Like, you're the mission. You are the mission, man. Dude, you are the mission with a full sack. You embody that. With all that being said, apply to my godlike mastery offer that I have one spot left for the next month, and you can also check out the Regal Academy as well and enter into the Regal Academy if this is aligned with you. If this is the kind of stuff that aligns with you, then take the leap, man. Take that leap into the water. Like in that vision that I saw earlier in True Time, where I saw those men holding hands jumping into the lake. We're holding the line, man. We are holding the line. So peace be with you. Until next time.